This week on The Real Housewives of Miami.
Like a gang up again. Everybody's having a narcissistic moment right now because none of you are taking into consideration the fact this girl just lost her f***ing father. So where's the empathy?
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of The Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 6. Let's get right into it. Okay, so this episode starts with the ladies arriving to Alexia's Greek-themed narcissist life coach event thing. So they all get there. She says they are going to do a lot of mental exercises and it will all be great. I said this last week. I really loved the venue that she chose. It's like this beautiful park that I'm not even there in person, but even just by looking at it, it looks like they're in Mount Olympus. It was just super, super gorgeous. So when they go in, there's mirrors all around the little park or the garden, I should say, with quotes. Kind of cringe, but things like never fight a narcissist, good people get tired of serving ungrateful people, the problem with empathy is that you feel bad for the people that hurt you, things like that I'm sure we've all seen on like social media and things like that. Of all the one of the ladies, though, she's like, oh, I guess Alexia is doing this because she said recently that Todd's a narcissist. And then Alexia is quick to be like, no, this is not about Todd. Don't think it's about Todd because it's about us. All of us. And then, listen, the theme went well with some of the people here because, everyone's going around reading these quotes about narcissism. And then here we got Lisa having a full-blown photo shoot with this cute little swing that was there. Like she's the queen of the world. By the way, her and Stephanie did make up because, Stephanie snapped at her for being late, which I think was warranted because, Lisa, you should be yelled at for being 2.5 hours late. What are you talking about? But they made up. Some of the ladies are sitting and they're asking Larsa, when is she going to talk to Lisa? Julia says, well, me and Guerdy, we had our dinner and we talked about things. We figured some things out. And Guerdy's like, yeah, that probably should have happened before Marysol's dinner because it was your beef. I had to accept what you had to give to me because you're the one that had the beef. And Julia's like getting annoyed that Guerdy is saying this, but I don't know why they think Guerdy can't have her feelings about it. Like y'all don't get to tell her to move on and stop talking about it. Like, no, she is allowed to still feel what she feels. So then they all gather around because they're going to do an exercise all together. So this Instagram bootleg life coach is going to read some characteristics or some like different things that are considered red flags. So all of them get an actual little red flag. And when he reads what's on the card, there are vases that all have each woman's name. So when he reads what is on the card, they have to put their red flag on who they think exhibits that trait or behavior. So for example, the first one was who is like most likely to only talk about themselves all day. So most people put their little red flags in Lisa's space, which makes sense. Lisa's like, oh, well, maybe I tell my problems to the wrong people. Of course, that's what she took of it. Which Larsa, she's like, she just says it to Lisa. She's like, you think your problems are the only ones that matter. Lisa says, well, how can I care about your problems if you never tell me what they are? The guy there, Daniel, he does say sometimes we want to be heard, but we aren't doing any talking. To which Larsa says, well, if you call someone and they don't answer the phone, then you will definitely not be heard. And then Larsa and Lisa have a little bit of a back and forth, really petty. She's like, stop lying. And then the other one's like, I have receipts. And then Larsa's like, I am the receipt. And Lisa's like, is that going to be your Halloween costume this year? And then Larsa says, try to get a dress your size. Larsa is Miss Petty, but it can be funny sometimes. So the next question is, who is the quickest to take offense? Different people get the flag on their thing. This one was a little bit more evenly distributed, but Lisa still got most of the red flags. Next up is who takes the least accountability. It was funny because Larsa and Lisa kept putting their flags on each other's, like on the other. Adriana kept putting hers with Marysol. So everyone's getting mad when someone puts the flag on the thing that has their name. Then there goes Julia instigating, asking the guy, if someone says something hurtful to you, how can you move on? And then Daniel asks, well, did that person apologize? And Julia's like, yeah, partially they apologized, but what if what they said to you was something you said in confidence and they were trying to hurt you? So then Guerdy's just sitting there like, what the hell is this woman? Why is she still bringing this up? She then says to the guy, well, that hurtful statement that was said came after someone was physically assaulted. So yeah, it came out. But they move on. The next little card is who plays the victim the most. Larsa puts her flag for Lisa's, and at this point Lisa sort of loses it. She and Larsa go at it. Lisa's like, you come for me, you keep coming for me, my dad died and you attacked me. They have a back and forth. I could tell that at this point Lisa was super frustrated. She says to Larsa, stop before I say what you've told me. She said that Marcus didn't have it like that, and that Lisa says that Larsa said that Marcus didn't have it like that and that her boobs would be on the floor before they got married. So they're just going back and forth, throwing all sorts of things towards one another. But anyway, Lisa once again wins most of the red flags for this. And she's crying. She says, I don't play the victim. I have a few people who are my safe spaces. You, Adriana, you're one of the only ones. So she's crying and she says, since last year when Keke said that I needed to stop talking about Lenny, I've never brought him up once, even though I'm still dealing with it. I wish someone else had more problems so we could talk about that too. Then Larsa, Alexia, and even Julia, they're saying, oh, Lisa, but you do always talk about yourself. They keep adding to it. So Adriana gets up and she says, this is a gang up, and y'all don't even seem to care that this girl just lost her father. So Lisa says that she is leaving. I do think that it was a bit of a gang up. Does Lisa have narcissistic tendencies? Absolutely she does. Do I think they come from a malicious place though? No, I don't think she's a bad person in that sense. I think her narcissistic traits have the effect of her being annoying, but I don't think it comes from a place where she's trying to hurt other people or cause harm. Not at all. But she's in the bathroom crying with Adriana. She says she doesn't understand why everyone seems to forget all the bad stuff Larsa has said about them. But somewhere along the lines, Gertie grabs Larsa to mediate things between Larsa and Lisa, which was nice of her. So Larsa says to Lisa, I've never meant to hurt you. Have I not been a good friend to you? And Lisa's like, not lately. Gertie's trying to really mediate things. But Larsa says, I didn't mean to hurt you. And then Gertie, it was hilarious because she was adding a lot of commentary. But you did hurt her. Well, how did that make you feel? What did she say? What was your response? But of course, Larsa gets mad. She says, we don't need a mediator. Ugh, it was too much. That was it for this event. That was it for this Greek event. Okay, so it's a few days later. We see Julia meet with a lady, a social worker. There are still some time and some other requirements that need to happen before Martina and Julia legally adopt the baby boys. So the social worker is asking Julia what has been the hardest part, and Julia says, the diapers and having to change them in the middle of the night. But she says that Martina really does love to spoil the boys and really take care of them. The social worker asks who will be the male figure in their life, because kids do need to have, a representation of both a male figure and a female figure, even if it's not the parent. That's just a fact. So Julia says that her brother would be great. He's about 12 years younger than her, but they can definitely see him maybe 3 times or even 4 times a week. Julia says that right now she wants to really, she's been trying to shield them a little on who they see, because it's crazy to think what they might have thought when they had this drastic change of like leaving where they were originally from and not like and like now being here, which is true. I never thought about it like that, but she is right. But yeah, she's thinking of now like actually putting them out in the public a little more. Overall, it was a good conversation, but did you guys see that Martina is under fire for saying online that surrogacy is wrong and people are being too greedy? She deleted that real quick. Alright, moving on, we see a scene with Stephanie, her mom, her dad, and her husband. This scene was almost completely in Spanish, and I gotta be honest, to me this meant a lot. As someone whose first language is Spanish, I don't think I've ever seen something like this on Bravo, so it was nice, a little representation here and there. So her parents seem really nice. They've been married for 50 años, 50 years, and you know what's crazy though? Stephanie's dad is 2 years older than Masood, her husband. That's crazy too. Wow. But Masood, you guys, this is just to me, y'all let me know what y'all think. He doesn't look that old to me. I don't know why. But it's kind of, so they're talking about like Stephanie's upbringing and how tough she is and whatnot. But it was kind of sad when they talked about Stephanie's sisters, who don't really speak to their parents so much after the fallout that they had with Stephanie. And the mom got very emotional that they don't really answer her calls. So Stephanie says that she wants to fix this so they can one day all be a complete family. Okay, so then we see Gertie and Russell go to couples therapy. I've always loved their love story. Like, the fact that they've been together since high school, like, that's where they met. I think that is so sweet. That's a real love story. So, everything's been pretty smooth. They met in high school. They got married. They had 2 boys. But this cancer situation has been a big thing, obviously. Gertie doesn't want him to just feel like a caregiver. She kind of wants things to go back to normal. So the therapist asks Russell, how did it feel when she was going through all of this, like when she was really at rock bottom. And I could tell it really affected him. Like, even talking about it, he kind of choked up. Gertie also talks about a time when he said to her, you can't leave the kids, you can't leave me because I need you. That was very emotional. But for right now, they ask Russell, like, what is it going to take for you not to sort of like be in first responder mode? And he says that he isn't in that mode anymore. And he doesn't want Gertie to think that he's like traumatized over the situation. He says, I want you to know that I'm actually amazed with your resilience. Oh, that, you guys, if that ain't love, I don't know what is. That was amazing. The therapist also recommends individual therapy. Russell says that he's always thought Gertie should get it because she's had many experiences all the way from childhood. Like, she opens up about how she came to this country as an immigrant very young with just her brother. She had all these other siblings that she was not with. She was left with some aunt. Stuff like that even if people don't realize it affects people's reactions and feelings even as adults. So that's why therapy is great, so that you're able to kind of put the puzzle pieces together and you're like, oh wait, I act like this when this happens because it stems from that. So yeah, I enjoyed this. Alright, so the last scene of the episode is Lisa and Larsa meeting up. They seem to be in a better mood right out the gate. They were talking about some stuff, and they were even kind of when they were bringing some of the stuff that happened, they were kind of saying it in a joking manner. They did make up in Milan until Larsa got into it with Jodi. And the reason why Larsa and him got into a fight was because Jodi said that Larsa was the one who called paparazzi to take pictures of Marcus and Fran snorting the coca. You know what I'm saying? Lisa says, yeah, that's what the paparazzi guy told us. So when she said that, that's when things actually took a turn and turned ugly, because that made Larsa get real mad. And she says to Lisa, you're full of beep. Your boyfriend is a liar. You're mad because you're being called out. Everyone in the group called you out for being a narcissist. Everyone is against you. Why can't you see that? They kept voting for you. So Lisa can't handle it. She gets up and leaves to use the restroom. She calls Alexia and she says, Alexia, Larsa says, oh, you guys hate me. Which was low-key hilarious because as Lisa's having this meltdown in the bathroom, there's some lady stuck in the stall. And then an employee has to tell Lisa to get out because she's too loud. Meanwhile, Larsa was sitting there scrolling through the news. But anyway, Lisa goes back to the table. Larsa then says, I'm not trying to be a bad friend. I'm sorry I called you names. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for that. Do you take any accountability for anything? And Lisa does. And then they make up and they agree to do a better job with communicating. And Larsa says, I will always have your back. And they hug it out. And that was it. So yeah, you guys, this was a okay episode. It maybe felt like more of a filler. It looks like maybe next week things were going to get like, oh my gosh, like it's going to give us a lot to talk about. So I can't wait for that. I did see some news that Miami has been renewed for a season 8, which I never doubted it would get canceled. But it's not been confirmed. Who should come back and who shouldn't, in y'all's opinion? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this episode, you guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great one. Bye.